We're constantly reading. Oh, there we go. Okay. Forgot about that recording thing. So we're talking about sorting at all levels: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So some people don't know how to read properly. And when they take a test, they don't know what's important and what's not. So the sorting out process goes across the board. So in our relationships, sorting out what we need from what we don't need, what we read or what we mentally assimilate, what is useful, what is not, we need to let go of. Emotionally, same kinds of things. Sometimes we carry old emotional hurts and fears and worries, and those kinds of things we can let go of. They need to go onto the colon to be eliminated. So we're sorting out constantly at every level. So that's the story of the small intestine. And the other two functions that we talked about was the pericardium, which is the double-walled fluid sac that surrounds the heart and lubricating and protecting the heart. It's like the bodyguard for the heart, and this physically prevents friction during the heart's activity. We're saying how dynamic the heart is. It protects the heart and aids in its smooth and rhythmic function. It beats continually, day in, day out, every day, every week, every month, every year, until the end of our life. And so it keeps on beating, hopefully. And this heart protector protects it from trauma and shock, injury and accident. Again, not only at the physical level, but mentally and emotionally too. If we consider the function on a larger area, the heart protector expresses, gives us the capacity to express our love and our affection for others. And sometimes we need to be fearless in that. We protect ourselves too much, so we can have an overactive heart protector. We don't want to get hurt. So the bodyguard says, be careful, you're going to get hurt again. But the function is to protect it from getting shocked from the events of the world, and as a cushion to protect it from physical harm or trauma. It's like a psychic shield as well, to protect us from emotional, mental trauma, shocks, injuries, accidents. So we can be fearless in our loving. We can make ourselves morose with all the issues in the world right now and get depressed and anxious. And this fire element can take a hit, and we can get burned out from all the things we read and hear, and all the emotions that we have to deal with on a regular basis. And sometimes we say people are cold-hearted, or they wear their heart on their sleeve, or we have all of these descriptions like this that convey or connote a particular quality in people. But to keep a warm heart and to be open and compassionate and loving is the essence of this fire element. So the triple heater is another fire element component. It doesn't have any physical form like the other organ systems. The triple heater is named for its function and is not an organ. It maintains proper temperature for the organs found in the upper, middle, and lower burners. So for example, if the lungs aren't kept the proper temperature, they will get out of balance. And there can be asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia, a variety of things that can happen, not because the lungs are particular distress, but because of the environment of the lungs. The triple warmer can't keep the upper burner at the right temperature or the right environment. Same thing with the digestive tract, same thing with the elimination in the lower burner, which has to do with the large intestine and the bladder. So you can feel, and sometimes you'll feel warmth in the chest area, cold over the belly, and different temperature in these different burning spaces. They should all be a similar temperature. If you feel cold over the belly, you're probably having digestive troubles. It's cold in its action. It's not getting what it needs. So the triple warmer is in charge. It's the thermostat of the body. And there's nothing that corresponds to this in Western medicine, but there is a meridian. There is this channel. There is the flow of chi that circulates in the body that directs its energy to maintaining the proper temperature, warming us when it's cold, cooling us when it's hot, and maintaining that equilibrium temperature-wise. And again, the triple warmer is the only so-called organ that is solely functional. It doesn't have any specific structural component other than the corresponding meridian. But although there is no functions, no physical form, its function is essentially to maintain homeostasis. And it's responsible for heating and cooling the body and maintaining balance and thermoregulation. So I mentioned the upper burner, middle burner, and so on. Just to complete that thought, the upper burner houses the lungs, the heart, and the pericardium. The middle burner houses the stomach, spleen, pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. And the lower burner houses the small intestine, large intestine, bladder, and kidneys. So these are the three burning spaces that are controlled by the triple heater. And again, you can assess this in your own body simply by palpating or just putting your hand over these areas and see if they are warm or cold, or they should all be fairly equal in temperature. Let's see, anything else we need to say about that? I think we can, and again, since we are talking about cardiovascular health, with the fire element, the heart, small intestine, and these other, so exercise is important. A healthy heart needs to be regular exercise to keep the circulatory system going. We need to move the blood and the chi. And sweating also is good. And you may hear that taking saunas and things like that are very good for the immune system and for your body. I also agree with that. And there are various ways that we can, there are infrared saunas like I have. And for the immune system, that is the best way to detox heavy metals and to get toxins out of the body through sweating. And of course, in the summer, we're outside, we're sweating, but as we get into the cooler weather, we don't have that same capacity to discharge the toxins through sweat. So a sauna is a good way to do that. Sweating in moderation is good to eliminate toxins. All right, and we spoke about the idea of patience or the virtue of patience for the wood element to counter anger, which is the negative emotion of the wood element. And for the fire element, it is joyous effort, enthusiastic perseverance is the virtue associated with the fire element. And this is the enlightened quality of energy, vigor, vitality, endurance, diligence, enthusiasm, and persistent effort. These are qualities of the fire. The essence of a joyous effort is having the courage, having the energy and endurance to untiringly benefit others, with no expectation for personal recognition or reward. We do it out of our love, our compassion, our loving kindness. And this is the essence, again, of the fire element. When we cultivate this type of diligence and perseverance, we cultivate a strong, healthy mind. As we were saying, the word Shen means mind, it means heart, and it is associated with the mind which resides in the heart. When we cultivate this type of diligence, we are cultivating a strong mind. So joyful effort gives great determination to achieve our goals. We have to have enthusiasm. We have to have motivation. And this is the realm of the fire element. So this determination, motivation to achieve our goals for the benefit of others, even in the face of obstacles or problems. And this has really three aspects that we can mention. The first is having the understanding of the great value in traveling the path and having the confidence that we can do it. When I say the path, of course, it's the teachings of the Buddha. So we have to have the motivation, confidence, and will to carry out the path. The problem is either not beginning is one problem and not finishing is the other. So we have to continually manage our energy and continue to put one foot in front of the other with joyous effort, despite setbacks and that we might encounter along the way. That's to be expected, and we do need the determination to keep that up. You know how it is with meditation. To keeping up our meditation on a regular basis requires motivation and intent. So that is the second aspect, is maintaining our joyful effort despite setbacks that we encounter. We need that determination. So the first is having the understanding of the value of traveling this path with confidence that we can do it, to set us on the path. And then second, the maintaining our joyful effort on the path. When we encounter setbacks, we just continue with determination. And the third aspect is to persevere until we arrive at the destination. Path means, that there is a destination. There's a path to something. And so not giving up is the essential to our success. So I think that is important to know. Joyous effort, enthusiastic perseverance. We have to keep that in mind. And so we talked about the healing sound of being ha. So this sound calms the heart. We're going to use this again towards the end as we complete our discussion of the 5 elements and the organ system, seasons, and the rest. We will do a complete healing sound with the visualization, the color, inhaling the color associated with the element, and using the healing sound for that element. And we will do that at the end for all of the elements. So healing foods, we said that the bitter is the taste associated with the fire element. Having good oils, to have the omega-6s, omega-3s, flaxseed oil, coconut oil, these are good oils. Bitter foods are great to add, such as dandelion tea. Dandelion is bitter, and it is also cleansing. And you have to, we're talking about the small intestine as well, and nutrition. So you have to remember to chew your food, taste your food, make friends with your food. Sometimes we eat standing up and we don't even taste it. We just gobble it down. If the shoe fits, there are ways that you can change that. But of course, eating organically is important as well. So we mentioned the importance of not eating poison with toxic sprays and things like that. So always eat organically when you can. I mentioned with the wood element, the aromatherapy or essential oils. For the for the fire element, we can use essential oils too to balance the fire element and to reduce our mental confusion and heart palpitations. Angelica, lavender, Melissa. Melissa is particularly used for heart palpitations. Peppermint can be stimulating and invigorating. Rose is excellent. You know, you probably have heard like rose quartz. To have that around is good for the heart. There are certain associations we have. And hyssop, Hyssop, hyssop is balances and helps with blood pressure. So we have to remember that one too. So we mentioned blood pressure can be a factor with any of the organs. If it's out of balance, we treat the person, not the condition. And as we balance the elements of the body, then those symptoms subside. So other teas or herbs that we could use, Schisandra is a very nice tonic for the heart, memory, concentration, Schisandra. It's a good use for sometimes, you know, at night we're overexcited. We just can't shut off the mind, which is racing and just so. Schisandra is a very nice herb for that relaxation and to calm the mind. Chamomile is used as a Shen calmer. And these herbs or even homeopathics are really good for kids, you know, to help them sleep. Chamomile is used, you know, when they're teething or things like that, and their little nervous systems are overwrought. There's a sleepy time tea, you know, Seasons has a sleepy time tea. You may be familiar with that. There's a sleepy time extra that is formulated with valerian in it. It's the same celestial seasons, but there's a sleepy time and a sleepy time extra. And the valerian in there is very helpful to relax the nervous system or reduce pain and induce sleep. So you can probably find that in most of the grocery stores, both of those. But the sleepy time extra, if you're having sleep problems, is useful because of the valerian. It's a Shen calmer and also helps with pain. The other thing that helps calm is the magnesium, and a lot of people are deficient in magnesium. So taking magnesium, if you're having heart palpitations or if you're having cramping at night in your calves or just any time, doesn't have to be at night, but general muscle cramps is usually magnesium deficiency. So my suggestion is 5 milligrams per pound of body weight is a useful dosage. 5 milligrams per pound of body weight. And of course, you know, before sleep, not a good idea. You avoid your caffeinated, your coffee or tea. Black tea, even green tea, does have a stimulating effect. So stop that in the late afternoon and certainly in the evening. And the caffeine also leaches magnesium from the body. So if you do drink coffee, as I do supplement with magnesium. Coffee is a diuretic and you'll flush the magnesium out of your system. You'll leach out those precious electrolytes, especially magnesium. So if you're having any cramping, know that you are deficient in magnesium. And all magnesiums aren't created equal. So any magnesium that ends in ATE, so magnesium citrate, magnesium orotate, magnesium threonate. Magnesium threonate would be good again if you have problems falling asleep. You know, the Shen disturbance where the mind is overactive and just can't calm down. Magnesium threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier and can work very well as an aid to your sleeping. But you don't want magnesium oxide. So anything that ends in ATE, I mentioned, not magnesium oxide. It is not metabolized and won't give you the same benefits. And you'll see that it's very cheap and it's in a lot of magnesium formulas that you can purchase, but that's not the one you want. because it's not bioavailable. The importance of a supplement is getting it into your cells, and it's not bioavailable, the magnesium oxide. Magnesium glycinate is another one. It's an ATE, that's fine. But the one that crosses the blood-brain barrier is the magnesium 3-8. So that would help if you have sleep problems or muscle cramps or restless legs or heart palpitations. Remember, the heart is a muscle, and it uses a lot of magnesium, actually. So you have to make sure that that's supported, particularly, again, if you drink caffeinated drinks. It's always good to check your magnesium levels when you have a blood test, when you go for an annual exam or something like that. They can check magnesium levels in your body and see what they are. Vitamin D would be another one to check, and B12 as well, when we're on the topic of getting your blood tested. That's good objective feedback. It's not always looked at, but it is important for your nervous system, the B12 particularly, and not everyone can conjugate we actually make B12 in our gut, but you may not have the intrinsic factor to do that. So you actually must have the supplement B12, and that should be a sublingual B12, because once it goes into the digestive system, it is pretty much destroyed by the hydrochloric acid in your stomach. So it's absorbed better sublingually, under the tongue, sublingual. And if you can, women in particular, and we're talking again about blood tests, to get a complete thyroid panel, not just the TSH, especially if there's a family history of thyroid problems. Often it goes undiagnosed. So I frequently see problems, thyroid problems, Hashimoto's, thyroiditis, a variety of things that are undiagnosed for years. So you have to see the whole panel. Sometimes just doing TSH is not enough. You have to see the T3, T4, reverse T3, reverse T4, and the like. Okay, I think that exhausts the idea here of the fire element. We've talked about those things. If you're interested in and for women in particular, they can have a problem with thyroid. Dr. Isabel Wentz, W-E-N-T-Z, has written a lot about thyroid problems. And if you want more information, you can see Dr. Wentz's book. Her book, she's actually written quite a lot about thyroid in particular. All right, so on to the earth element. So we can put up our chart again for the earth element. You'll see, there we go, yes. Oh, good, okay, that's it, that first one. If we could open that up, expand it a little bit. So there's 3 boxes there. We'll start with the first box open as we enlarge it. Can that still be made bigger?
Let me try again. I had it on my second screen, which is vertical, so I think it was making it too small. I'll just do it again.
Okay, thank you. So the earth element, that's good, thank you. The earth element that we see, that's the 3rd line down, is associated with the stomach and spleen. Those are the 2 organs. The spleen is the yin and stomach is the yang. So the way you can differentiate between yin and yang organs, again, the yin organ is solid, the yang organ is hollow, and it moves things through it, such as the gallbladder for the wood is a hollow balloon-like thing that holds the bile. Small intestine is a long tube that moves things through it. And the stomach, of course, holds the digestate and we say it rots and ripens the food. I know that's not very attractive, but that's literally what it does. It's like a big oven, and it has to cook the food before the small intestine can use it to extract what it needs. But so in that regard, we don't want to eat a lot of cold food because that chills the stomach, which is like a big oven. And it needs to, and we don't want to drink too much water either because that dilutes the hydrochloric acid, which is very important to the digestive system. So I was mentioning, chew your food. That starts the process, and it starts with the enzymes that are in the mouth, in the saliva, that begins the digestive process with our chewing. So chew your food slowly, and not too much cold or raw food. Raw is also considered a cold because you literally have to cook it in your stomach before it's going to be assimilated. If you see undigested food particles, you're not digesting properly. So if you eat a salad and you see the lettuce and the carrots and everything coming out the other end, pretty much the way it went in, it's not being digested. So either we need digestive enzymes, and as we get older, we lose our capacity. Our digestive enzymes begin to become less. And so using digestive enzymes, if you have digestive problems. So first of all, slightly cooked, not cooked to mush, but the steamed, stir-fried in good oils, and chew it up well. That'll go a long way to helping your digestion. So the two organs are the spleen and the stomach. Spleen is in charge. We say spleen and pancreas. The pancreas is also associated with this, and the thing with the pancreas is metabolism of sugars, and the spleen, unfortunately, and pancreas really get beat up with the amount of sugars that we eat. And I would definitely suggest that you watch your carbohydrate intake, because diabetes is rampant because of the carbohydrates and sugars that we consume. So as we continue to look at the earth elements, spleen and stomach, the time for, as I mentioned, for the stomach is 7 to 9 a.m. and the spleen 9 to 11 a.m. So I mentioned that the rule of thumb is to eat your breakfast, eat like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper. What time do we usually eat our big meal? Maybe 7 to 9 p.m. And that is the weakest time for the stomach to do its job. So there's, again, this diurnal cycle, 24-hour cycle. The peak time for the stomach to do its job is 7 to 9 a.m. The weakest time for the stomach is 7 to 9 p.m. So eating late at night is a great way to gain weight and have indigestion, heartburn, and a variety of other things, because the stomach is not ready to do that. And often our evening meal is the largest meal. We overeat and wonder why we're having digestive problems. So the ancients were very smart about this. They suggested that breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper. And now we're hearing more and more about intermittent fasting to give your body immune system a break. So if you were to eat lightly, finish early, and then go until lunchtime without having any food, you could have a beverage that is not carbohydrate. Carbohydrates will throw you out of balance again. They're sugars. You'll be burning fat. And if you want to lose weight, there's a way to do that. I use a ketogenic diet, which is, you can look up, and we may talk about ketogenic along the way. But the main thing is following the laws of nature and reducing the nighttime eating. And sometimes we like to snack at night, and usually those choices are not so good either. So a word to the wise. It's associated with the mouth, as you might imagine. That's the gateway to the stomach. And it nourishes the muscles. So flaccid muscles, sometimes prolapses are associated with imbalances here. The muscles lose their integrity. You know, that is, so we nourish our muscles by the spleen and earth element. And it says the emotions, and here it says meditation, but often it is worry. That is the problem that creates problems. If we can do meditation in the right way, that would be great. But unfortunately, it is oversensitivity to things and worry. These are the worry warts. But, you know, this is our capacity to mother ourselves and to mother others and to be sympathetic. And this is an aspect of the earth element as well. So let's move down to the next boxes. Yes, there we are. And looking at the earth again, the spleen, the late summer, Indian summer is the season associated with this. Dampness is the environmental factors, as it says. We said wind for the wood, heat, excess heat can be a problem. Excess dampness can be a problem for the earth element. And people will say that, you know, they just feel heavy, they don't move, their joints hurt, the change of the seasons, or when the barometric pressure changes, these kinds of things can create aggravations for the earth imbalance. It's about transformation, just like food is transformed in the gut and converted to energy for us. It's about change and transformation. The color is yellow, so an attraction to yellow, or really a dislike of yellow, but it is also a yellow complexion. A person may look yellowish. The taste here is sweet, so there's a natural attraction to sweet. So we need to curb that, or have sweets that are appropriate for us and not sugary. That is the source of inflammation, basically, the sweets and carbohydrates, which are sugars. Carbohydrates are sugars. And we like our sweets. So we just have to show discrimination and good judgment in how we do that. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. A fragrant is the odor. So a fragrant is like a cloying sweetness that is an odor. And if you've ever been around a diabetic, there's kind of a cloying sweet smell. It's like rotting fruit, basically. I know, again, some of these descriptions are not so attractive, but you know what that's like. So a rotten fruit is kind of sweet. It's fragrant. It's not like a rose. It is a little different than that. It's but this is again, if you've ever been around someone who's diabetic, that is unmistakable. And unfortunately, diabetes is on the rise so much because of our attractions to the sweets. And we've been told, you know, to stay away from fats and those kinds of things. So that usually converts to carbohydrates. So pastas and breads and the cookies and pies, these are all carbohydrates, and they're basically sugars, and they metabolize like that. And that's why diabetes is on the rise as it is. And the spleen can't keep up with it, and we become glucose intolerant. That is basically diabetes in one form or another. So we just have to watch the soft drinks. I mean, there's I don't know how many tablespoons of sugar in the soft drinks, and juices, or fruit juices. Eat fruit, that's fine, but you know, you usually wouldn't have 5 oranges as a sitting, but if you have you know, a glass of orange juice, that's going to blast your pancreas as well. So fruit, if you eat the whole fruit, it's very different. Then you get the fiber, you get other kind of nutrients, and then just the juice, which is too much sugar. If you're going to have fruit, it's best to have the berries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. But again, they have to be organic. It's a very highly sprayed crop, with insecticides, pesticides, fungicides, those kinds of things. And that goes right into the fruit, and there's no way around it. So always eat organic. Okay, next block. So again, the middle section there, the earth element, the voice is singing. So there's a quality of singing. Often news commentators have this, but it's kind of a sing-songy thing. You can tell it's very lyrical, and the voice sounds like that. So we call it singing voice. Earth element, weeds. Usually we think of earth as millet. I'm not sure why weeds are there, but and vegetables, all kinds of vegetables, usually yellow vegetables. The squashes are in this department as well. Fruits, it says red fruit, but I would say, yellow fruit as well. These are mainly yellow things, but red, it can be there. Let's see, when we look at fruits. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a moment. So when we're talking about these, particularly yellow or orange colored foods, root vegetables come from the earth, and sweet, soft fruits, these moisten and help frail people. They're a source of energy as well. So let's see, and humid and moist, so or wet. So we were saying that dampness is the evil. So humidity is people don't with this earth imbalance. They really seem cloistered, or it feels like it's heavy, it's confining. They feel that humid, moist, wet energy to not be so good for them, because they tend to be on the damp side. So that is just aggravates that condition. Some people, with this imbalance can also like that, but generally they are so overwhelmingly that way that much more just aggravates them. And again, associated with the late summer. So after the flurry of activity in the summer, we come into the late summer, and it's a time we begin to start slowing down our energy. And it's a good time to take inventory on what we've accomplished and the abundance we have created in our lives. The earth brings about a sense of grounding and stability. So that's another thing that you may be familiar with, the term grounding. That gives us this sense of the security and internal strength. We've lost our connection with the earth, with Mother Earth, because we wear shoes that are rubber, and it's an insulator from the natural magnetic energy of the earth. So walking barefoot on the beach is one of my favorite things to do. Not everyone has that capacity, but just walking barefoot outside on the grass or in a place where you can walk barefoot or walk with shoes that are either cotton bottomed or leather also does not interfere with that. But most of our shoes now are plastic or they're rubber, and that keeps us ungrounded. And if you do that, you'll notice improvements in joint pain. A variety of things can improve as we discharge the negative energy into the earth and we resonate with the natural vibration of the earth. That is important. So this is our mind is our memory, our ability to concentrate, focus, remember. These are all aspects of the yi, Y-I, which is the mind. So when our earth is eroded, it causes a lack of drive or even confusion. And we lose our purpose, our groundedness. So we have to return to Mother Earth, literally and figuratively. Unfortunately, we're creating havoc for Mother Earth, and she's showing us that she's not happy. So in our physical world, the earth element is related to our connection with our own mother. And from conception, birth, childhood, adulthood, we have this this connection. Sometimes our connection with our mother is not good, but as a fetus, we are tethered to our mother by the umbilical cord, and our life support is the mother. And at birth, the cord is cut, and we are still dependent on our mother for life and caring. We can't take care of ourselves as infants. So we have to, we're dependent on our mother for survival, but we're dependent on our Mother Earth for survival as well. We couldn't live without with this very precious environment. From the time of our birth, the main issue for our health and well-being is nourishment. And our mother gives us that from her breast milk, but from also from Mother Earth and the foods and the nutrients that we get from our plant life and other ways. So we are responsible for the Earth's well-being, and what we're seeing with the heating up of the Earth is going to affect our food production, and unfortunately, starvation is going to be a factor. So growing your own foods, being as self-reliant as you can be. The writing's on the wall now, and there's more people suffering and having starvation issues. But in the Dark Age, the Buddha predicted certain problems, and these are on the rise, just as he predicted. So survival as a species depends on our earth element to be healthy, both external and internal. So the qualities of the earth element gives us the ability to nourish ourselves and others, to see what's needed and to provide that for ourselves and others. All right. I mentioned the color yellow in the season, late summer, and the foods of this time of year, the yams, the squashes, those are natural. So eat what's in season and what's around you. The yams, squashes, pumpkins. This is the time we're seeing, Thanksgiving. This is the cornucopia of foods, and we give thanks for all that we have, the food and our families and all the things that we can be grateful for. So I mentioned the the odor being cloying, kind of like an overripe melon. These are the diagnostic indicators. And if you've, again, been around a diabetic, you may have smelled that, and you may have seen the yellow kind of complexion of those people who have that imbalance. And the tendency, you know, as we were saying with this imbalance, is overthinking, obsessing, even at the extreme level. It's obsessive compulsive behavior. They can obsess over things, overthinking, excessive. And, you know, as you are, I'm in a university city, and I see the students who overstudy, excessively study, and over concentration that leads to an aggravation here. Also, they don't eat well. They have a lot of the cheap food, so that's usually high carb, and they don't sleep much because of the stresses. So that combination does not bode well for mental stability, which is an important part of this particular element. All right, are there any particular questions? We're coming close to the end of our first hour already. I don't know where the time goes. It goes too fast. So these are all the things to remember about the earth element. And we begin to see the interrelationship between all the organs, the microcosm, the seasons, the macrocosm, and their interconnection. We are all connected. We are part of the child of the universe, as the saying goes. So this interdependence is seen as we look at nature as a whole. Everything is interconnected. Each organ is seen in terms of the whole. So each of these has its function to keep us in balance. And as we study these and we understand these, we can benefit from this understanding and act and accordingly, both in our physical lives and our mental, emotional lives. This is a holistic approach to living and medicine.
Lama Losang.
Yes.
Hi, this is Julie Henderson.
Hey, Julie.
Hello. Thank you for today. Very much appreciated. I have a question for the earth element. Are spicy foods in moderation beneficial, for the earth element?
Spicy is more associated with the metal element, with the lungs and the colon. So if you go out and have Japanese food and you have wasabi, and immediately your nose opens up. And so we usually think of that as being associated with the metal element, the lungs and the colon.
Okay.
The sweet is the one that's associated with the earth element.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So hopefully we're putting the pieces of the puzzle together here by and by to make it easy to understand and to have a relationship with each of these elements. Is a dynamic situation. There's always a change and flux in the foods, in the seasons, in the situations that we find ourselves in. So all of these things, if we're balanced, we can go through these changes with grace and equanimity. But if we're out of balance, these things can throw us further out of balance. I mentioned the stomach, and it's the official of rotting and ripening, as I mentioned. Its job, if we have to put good food in there, it takes care of it. And like a big cement mixer, it mixes it up and creates a situation where we can assimilate those things. If the stomach is not doing its job, and we've already talked about the small intestine is not doing its job, then we're going to feel weak. We're not going to get the nutrients we want, and we're going to feel hungry, and we're going to be malnourished because we can eat the best diet and still not feel good. So all of our systems have to be working properly.
Lama, there's a question in the chat, and the question is, if you're experiencing issues with certain organs, does it mean an excess or a lack of that element?
It could be either. It depends upon the symptoms, how they're expressing, and the particular individual. It's hard to say. We take the pulse and we can feel bounding pulse, weak pulse, or that's going to give us information. But the presenting symptoms are also going to tell us if it's excess or deficient. You can look at the tongue and see excess or deficient, but the person will present that and we'll be able to figure that out. But it could be either. So we talk about the stomach and digestion, but again, it's not only the figuratively or what we eat. It's we talk about digesting information, chewing over ideas, devouring books, having an appetite for life. Well, there's a number of things, words that we use that kind of describe this earth element as well at the mental level. So we can overindulge and get overwhelmed as we become unable to take in one more thing. And we'll say that I just can't stomach it. Some situation, I can't stomach that. It's interesting that they would use those words. And to eat in a calm kind of way, relaxed way, not in a rush. We're saying that the earth imbalance has a tendency to worry and obsess over things. So to just take a moment to taste your food, that's good. To chew your food, that's good. And to rest and relax and use that time to really be mindful. And there's many books about eating and mindfulness. So we can practice that. So I mentioned the yi, or the mind, the intellect, is also associated with this earth element, and it's stored in the spleen. I know that sounds a little weird, but it facilitates concentration, focus, thinking, memory, ideation, and at the spirit level, it manifests as the feeling of security, centeredness, groundedness, satisfaction. These are all things, positive things when our earth is healthy, is balanced. An attitude of gratitude is important for health and happiness. And our earth element can help provide that. We can enjoy the beauty of the earth, the sky, the birds, nature in general. It provides an abundance of food for our spirit, food for thought. We say that too.
Lama, there's another question in the chat, but Julie, I wasn't sure which word, how do you spell which word? Is something stored in the spleen?
Yi, Y-I.
Y-I, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So you can Google Y-I and spleen, and you'll get all kinds of more information. We don't have enough time to go into all of these. It's the shen of the spleen, which is the yi. And each of these organs have a particular function that they bring to our body, mind, spirit, this kingdom of the body, mind, spirit. And the yi has to do with our intellect and gives us the capacity, as I say, for concentration, focus, thinking, memory. And that's because of, I was saying about students who are here overdoing that situation, they often exhaust their spleen. And when you look at the foods they use too, which are exhausting their spleen, it's no wonder that they really lose their capacity for that. And when that happens, they can become brooding and obsessive and lack focus and have poor concentration. That happens, but just the spleen is out of balance.
And then Lama, there's one more question. Are there any good books that you would recommend on the topic of the 5 elements?
There's The Law of 5 Elements. Diane Connolly. She was a student with me, actually, and she wrote a book basically from our notes. So what I'm telling you would look very similar in Diane's book. Diane Connolly, Law of the 5 Elements. That would be a good place to start. I think that's still available. So we're saying, you know, with your stomach, avoid a lot of cold drinks, ice drinks, not a good idea to drink with your food. Room temperature is good. And in Asia, they think you're trying to kill them if you gave them ice cream after a meal, because it chills the stomach and stops the digestion and creates all kinds of secondary problems. Yeah, antibiotics, anti-inflammatory medicines such as Tylenol, the NSAIDs also are tough on the stomach. They're just saying now that you shouldn't use aspirin. You may have seen that it was prescribed to have a baby aspirin or to take aspirin as a preventative for heart problems. They're saying now it's not worth it unless you have a history of cardiac problems, because it tears up your stomach. And certain behaviors like throwing up to have these digestive pathologies, it creates what's called rebellious chi, you know, bulimia, anorexia. Those kinds of things are really significant problems that create imbalance. The energy of the stomach should be descending downward. And if you're bringing it back up again intentionally or dramatically like that, really bad. So the good news is that all these disharmonies can be taken care of holistically. But those behaviors can be very problematic. And if you're having indigestion, gas, bloating, belching, those kinds of things are symptoms of the earth being out of balance. So the earth element really craves rhythm, order, routine. I know it sounds a little boring, but eating at the same time, sleeping at the same time, having a rhythm and order in your life, a natural rhythm. That's the way the earth is. The sun comes up at a particular time, goes down. Seasons come, seasons go. This is earth element. So this grants us the same kind of stability to have order and balance in one's life. And we should you know, strive for that because it's and for kids in particular, they really need that order, rhythm, and routine. Again, it may sound boring, but the ancient forefathers and foremothers look to the earth and the heavens for guidance in every everyday life. So we must listen to the earth within. And as good stewards of this earth, we must protect her. And the wonderful resources that we are losing, things are becoming extinct. Animals are becoming extinct. Plants are becoming extinct, which means forever. We will not see them again because of the changing the climate. And unfortunately, that means a lot of our herbs are becoming very hard to find if they're available at all now. We're cutting down a lot of the forests and those the places where we find these things. So we have to be conscientious as good stewards of the earth. Not only for our life is, you know, a flash of lightning, but for those who come after us, it's not a pretty picture if it continues as it is. The Buddha said we have to be careful when the Himalayas lose their white hats, and they are losing their white hats. The snow is melting, and it is an increasing problem. So I was mentioning, you know, we get the physical level of Earth is primarily concerned with the digestive level, and that is one of the ways that we get energy. But if we look at all of those ways we get energy, it's our ancestral energy that I mentioned. It is the genetic predisposition from our parents that is stored in the kidneys. The second one is the food that we eat. So we want good, nutritious, healthy food. And the stomach and spleen, how well they assimilate, digest, and transport that food chi, and the air that we breathe. How well do our lungs extract the energy chi from the air that we breathe? So all these systems have to be working in harmony. We can go for a while without eating and drinking. We can't go long without breathing. And we'll be discussing the earth element, the metal element next. But it looks like we probably need to take a short break. We've gone over our time. So go ahead and stretch your legs and we'll come back in a few minutes. We're finishing the earth element. And I was talking about the three energies, the way the body gets energy, the ancestral energy, the food we eat, and the air we breathe. So the first is our ancestral inheritance, considered pre-heaven. So from our parents, nothing much we can do about that. That is genetic, that's inherited. Then post-heaven chi, as it is called, that has to do with things that are in our control, such as diet, the food that we eat, the air that we breathe. Consequently, both of these influences, both of these things are the quality of our food and dietary considerations, the quality of the air we breathe greatly influence our overall energy and vitality. So needless to say, smoking is not a great option for anyone who is interested in a healthy lifestyle and good health. Is all those things we need to consider. So a sign of earth imbalance often is chapped lips. Interestingly enough, I thought I'd mention that. So if you're one who carries your chapstick around with you all the time, that is, our lips should be full and red and not pale or chapped or dry. And people with earth imbalances tend toward chapped lips or mouth sores, because we're saying the mouth is the gateway, to the stomach. So, and we've mentioned the sympathy and worry are a part of this element, overthinking, pensiveness, even obsessive compulsive disorders, OCD. Mothers naturally worry about their children, but what we're discussing is an imbalance when you don't know your own boundaries and you're completely worrywart. This is the imbalance that can also manifest as wanting or craving sympathy. We never get enough sympathy, or having difficult accepting empathy or sympathy from someone else, just the opposite. So as a practitioner, I often like to watch a new patient as they arrive and get out of the car. It's very interesting to see how that works. I like to see them when they don't know they're being observed. Maybe the patient has pain or a limp, and you can see in their gait. Yet when they walk through the door, they don't want you to see their infirmity or weakness. And then there's the other side of that. The person comes in craving sympathy for what is going on with him or her. And they may walk briskly, no problem. And then when they hit the door, they're all hunched over and complaining about the pain. Doc, you won't believe the pain that I have. So these personality characteristics express the inner energetics at play. So we're talking about the earth. We've talked about Tai Chi and Qigong. The earth element is about stability, and Tai Chi and Qigong are excellent ways, each of these, to promote that kind of stability. So I think everyone knows about the function of the stomach. We've talked about that. But there was a school of Asian medicine called Nourish the Middle, or Nourish the Earth School, that focused just on building and balancing the earth element. It was considered that important. For them, the stomach and spleen are the most important organs. It prepares the food for assimilation, and the schools of thought proclaim that the stomach function is the most important for our well-being, and is responsible for all of our appetites. And sometimes rebellious stomach chi, like I was saying, the throwing up, those kinds of things, or belching or reflux. These are all symptoms of a weak digestive system. Let's see. Yeah, we mentioned diabetes, is an earth type of problem. It's glucose intolerance. So people can't process sugars. They get so overwhelmed. The body just becomes intolerant to that sugar. And the body just becomes resistant, incapable. And the pancreas just becomes exhausted, shuts down, can't do it. It used to be adult, we say adult onset, but now kids are becoming diagnosed with diabetes early on because of the diet. It's all diet related. Unfortunately, we've been led astray about sweets and carbs in general. And my opinion is that those sugars have led to an epidemic of diabetes and high blood pressure. So reducing the sugars and carbs, and we said that, the attraction for the earth imbalance is sugar. And again, carbohydrates are sugar. So this is your comfort food, but not really comfort in the long run. Reducing sugar and carbohydrates is the way to go. Sugars and additives that affects us mentally, physically, emotionally. And everything starts with inflammation, whether it's cardiovascular or musculoskeletal. And we have to attend to the underlying cause in our body. And now more than ever, we're seeing the importance of removing the toxins, the additives, and sugar is addictive. We know that that's true, but that is also the source of inflammation in our body. So as we said before, eat real food. We're talking about the earth element, and food is primary way that we get energy. We said the genetics, the food that we eat, and the air that we breathe. And we just, as a culture, don't seem to get it. I was in our local hospital visiting, and in the hospital, they have fast food restaurants. This was a cardiovascular area, and you could get your McDonald's and your shakes and your Cokes and your fries. And if that doesn't keep you coming back to the hospital, nothing will. So, we have to wake up to what we're doing. It just becomes ubiquitous, and we don't even see it anymore because it's everywhere, and we don't attend to these things. I can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. So it's a cumulative effect. Problems like this don't happen overnight. It's due to our lack of understanding and concerning certain foods, our nutrition, and the rest. So again, we look to Mother Earth from the soil. Unfortunately, our soils are also becoming depleted, and there's lots of the data to support the fact that the foods that we eat now are nowhere near as nutritious as they were 20 years ago, because the soils don't have the nutrients in them to get into the foods. So we have to learn to become sustainable, and we have to, what we take from the earth, we have to give back. So again, it's understanding the interconnectedness. We can't keep taking. The interdependence, as we say, everything is that we look at the shirt that we're wearing, it's the interdependence of the cotton is grown, the farmer grows it, the person who picks it, sent to the manufacturer for the clothing is sent to the store sells it, you wear it. There's a lot of things that have to happen for you to get that shirt. It's all interdependent. So we have a lot to be grateful for in our world. Unfortunately, these days, we have a lot of people who feel entitled, and the opposite, those who don't feel worthy, and who are creating situations that are leading to long-term problems. So healing foods, first and foremost, we want to avoid the sweeteners, especially artificial ones. There are a lot of hidden sugars. Read labels, look at carb content. in a perfect world, you'd want to have, 45 to 50 milligrams or grams of sugar, no more than that a day, and avoid the hidden sugars in a lot of prepackaged foods, as well as fruit juices, and stick with fresh berries, blueberries, blackberries. Don't eat the mushy ones or the ones that have mold on them. They tend to get moldy. So be discriminating in that. Don't drink soft drinks, corn syrup, preservatives, and look at carb content on the packages. And if you can, prepare your food fresh, and use the farmers market, or local farmers, support them, and try to go and eat organically. You can use stevia or monk fruit. There's a variety of sweeteners that are not carbohydrate and actually don't raise your blood sugar in the same way. So we're talking about taste, your food, taste the flavors, chew your food completely. Again, the food, the digestive process begins with chewing your food, the saliva, and swallow mindfully. So eggs, I've always said is a perfect food. And it's interesting that His Holiness Karmapa has said that eggs can come back to the monastery, which I'm very happy to hear. But they need to be organic and, not the factory variety. They need to be free range. But eggs that are unfertilized are highly nutritious. It's very dense nutritional food. Turmeric, peaches, pumpkin, squash, sweet potato, all nourish the earth element. All right. So we mentioned the functions of the stomach. The spleen, is the largest. It's like a big lymph node, actually, and it's very important to our immune system. It manufactures the blood cells, and it's oval in shape. It's about 5 inches in length. It's located in the upper left-hand side. We said the liver was on the right-hand side. The spleen is on the left-hand side. And as the lymph nodes, in the body, and they're in the neck, groin area, they devour pathogens by creating lymphocytes. And the spleen does that. They fight off infection, the bad guys, and produce antibodies. And anytime there's a foreign invader, a toxin, our immune system responds and launches the attack. That's true with cancers. It's true with any type of pathogen, a virus, bacteria, molds, or fungus. The body can fight these things off if it is up to par. But if it's exhausted, it can't do its job effectively. So our immune system breaks down. And then we have a variety of problems when these foreign invaders that come in and take over. And so we said the stomach is the official of rotting and ripening of our food and preparing it for entry into the small intestine. The spleen is the official of transportation and distribution. It distributes the energy, the chi. So it also helps to control digestion. It keeps blood inside the vessels. If you have bruising or problems like that, if you're not taking a blood thinner, you shouldn't be bruising. And if you are bruising excessively, you're probably overdoing the blood thinner. But the It transports and distributes energy of the body. It governs the strength and functions of the muscles. We said it are associated with the muscles. So having strong muscles and that is the job of the spleen as well. And it transforms the food energy, turning it into usable energy. It aids in mental focus, intention, determination, drive, lifts and holds the internal organs. You know, some people have prolapses, bladder prolapses, but any of the organs are not being held up properly. That is the job of the spleen, and they'll prolapse. And it houses the yi, as we said, which relates to our thinking, our studying, our concentration, memory, those kinds of things. And I mentioned briefly earthing, you know, trying to taking off your shoes and walking outside or on the beach if you have that available. This is called earthing or grounding. So the earthing it's not unusual for Americans to spend days and even weeks or longer without being grounded. This is what is being called electron deficiency syndrome. There's even a name for it, electron deficiency syndrome. And is considered to be responsible for the rise of many modern diseases, like we were mentioning, to get our feet on the ground and not have shoes on that are rubber and insulating you from the natural energy of the earth, and discharging the negative and taking in the positive is what happens in this grounding situation or earthing. So to walk barefoot or with cotton or leather shoes and connect with Mother Earth. Earthing is generally defined as placing one's bare feet on the ground, you know, whether it be the dirt, grass, sand, or even unsealed, unpainted concrete, especially in humid wet weather, that energy will still come through. And when we ground ourselves to the electron-enriched earth, there's an immediate improved balance that occurs in the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So our sympathetic nervous system, you know, is reacting to stresses. It's the fight or flight response. And the parasympathetic nervous system brings us back to a normal state, our nervous system. And being grounded cuts inflammation by it thins your blood and infuses it your body with the negatively charged ions. You know, we say after a rain, those are negatively charged air, but the ground naturally has this as well, and that is being transferred into your body. And it's been overlooked for a long time, and science is telling us that grounding may be one of the more important things that we've been overlooking to restore our health. And you know, the science now tells us that many people report improvement in a wide variety, a wide range of ailments, and the grounding is beneficial. So they say 80 to 120 minutes a day. But and you may say, well, I don't have a couple hours that I can spend walking around barefoot, but it is totally free, and it's better than medicine for some. And if you can walk barefoot on the beach or close to the water or on the grass, you will feel better. At least I do. And that's one of the things that I like to do, is to walk on the beach, as I mentioned. So the virtue associated with the earth element is generosity. The Mother Earth is very generous, providing us everything we need. But however, to cultivate the generosity and the charity of giving and offering, this is the enlightened quality of generosity. You know, so this essence of the essence of this virtue is unconditional love. It is boundless openness of heart and mind, giving freely and without expectation, as the earth does. You know, it gives us everything. Giving us one of the essential preliminary steps of our practice as we walk the path to Buddhahood, you know, the Bodhisattva path. We say, by generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all. It is not accomplished by the action of giving, nor by the gift itself. It is the true essence of this pure motivation. So having the motivation to be of benefit. To cultivate this generosity, it's wise to contemplate the benefits of this practice and the disadvantages of miserliness, and as well as the obvious fact that our body, our wealth, are all impermanent. You know, this is generosity is a cure for the afflictions of greed, miserliness, possessiveness. So in this practice of giving, we may offer our time. We may offer energy, money, food, whatever is needed, clothing, protection, other gifts. And it is said that the highest gift, of course, is Dharma, to be skillful in how we benefit others, to give what we can, the physical kinds of things, but to be able to give Dharma is the supreme generosity. And we should do this selflessly, without counting the cost to ourselves. Okay. I've been mentioning the sound who that we will do. Probably, I think we're going to have one more meeting, and we will do the healing sound meditation and visualization on our next meeting, whenever that is, probably after the holidays, no doubt. So the sound is who, and this sound soothes the spleen. And the way we do that is we inhale a brilliant yellow color, filling the spleen with security, clarity, groundedness, serenity. And we exhale slowly while repeating the sound, whoo, and breathing out any murky yellow color, alleviating our clinging, our neediness, our obsessiveness, our thoughts and worries as a murky colored yellow. And then we inhale the brilliant yellow, filling the spleen, stomach, with this brilliant yellow color, and with it the security, clarity, groundedness, and serenity. And then exhale out with the sound, whoo, this breathing out the murky color yellow, and alleviating all of our negative emotions or clinging, neediness, obsessive thoughts, all those things we talked about, and worry. And we'll do that 6 times, and we'll do all the sounds for all of the elements together. It takes a little while to do all 5. Actually, there's 6. There's the last one is the triple warmer, where we it's kind of squeegeeing out the last bit of negativity and toxins out of our body. So aromatherapy, German chamomile is calms inflammation and is good for the earth element. Cardamom is a digestive herb that can be used with aromatherapy as well. And it supports digestion, as does basil. Turmeric tea is, turmeric is one of the most wonderful herbs. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps the immune system. It's antimicrobial. Saffron is also good. But these are some of the things that we would use to support the earth element. So that completes it. We still have the metal element and the water element to go. But if there's any other questions, let's do those, and let's give Lama Kathy a chance to update us, and then we'll see how much time we have left over.
Lama, there's one question in the chat. You mentioned that to avoid soft drinks and artificial sweeteners, are there any other items we should add to that list? One, and there's a specific question about whether corn should be avoided.
A lot of people are allergic to corn, like they're allergic to dairy, they're allergic, can be allergic to the glutens and other things. So yes, there is, there are a list of things to avoid, but if we're just careful about the sugars and the carbs, reducing our carbs, as we were saying, and increasing the good oils, I mentioned the bad oils, and those are also problematic. Those oils that I mentioned, and the sugars, all of the artificial sugars should be eliminated. I mentioned because of the carb content, primarily leading to diabetes. So monk fruit can be used. The stevia can be used. I like monk fruit best because some people don't like the stevia because it has a little bit of an aftertaste. Some people don't like that. So if you're cooking or doing those kinds of things, and you're looking for different flours, you can use almond flour or a variety of, there's now a lot of people are avoiding the glutens, and there's lots of different things if you bake that you can use instead of the flours that have glutens. And in talking about the digestive system, the fermented foods, are good. The kefirs, and generally when it comes to dairy, I keep that to a minimum as well, and would suggest goat milk cheeses, if you're going to eat cheese, and fermented foods. So goat milk, again, kefir or yogurt, the different kinds of sauerkraut or kimchi or those kinds of things to replace the friendly flora of your gut. I think I said that there are about 6 pounds of friendly flora in your gut. I think I exaggerated that a little bit, but there are 4 pounds, which is pretty substantial when you think about these little characters that are in your gut that have to be there. And when you think about taking antibiotics or anti-inflammatories, the different kinds of things that destroy the friendly flora, and you have to replace that taking the things we talked about, the foods that are probiotic, and also foods that are, we talk about probiotics, but we also have to have prebiotics. Those are the things that the probiotics eat to thrive. So those are basically chicory and broccoli and asparagus and kiwi. Eat the whole kiwi. Yeah. So you can Google prebiotics as well, but they're basically undigestible fiber. And but it will be used by your friendly flora of your gut. So it's not just enough to replace that. You also have to have the fiber for the probiotics to thrive in your gut. But make sure you are attending to that. And particularly if you've had to take antibiotics, take a probiotic pill is fine. You can take it in a pill, capsule, liquid form. If you're taking, you can take it with your antibiotics and not at the same time, separated by several hours. If you take the antibiotic, it's going to again kill the friendly flora. So just be discriminating about that and make sure you replace the flora. You're going to have gut problems. People often have diarrhea and a variety of off and on diarrhea, constipation after taking antibiotics or other kinds of anti-inflammatories that really affect the gut in a negative way. Did I answer the question? Okay.
Thank you very well. Thank you.
Okay. if that's our only question, great. Good job. Lama, this might be a good time, if you would, to give us the update on what's been going on.
Okay, let me get this party started here. Okay, very good. So I have a few pictures to share today. And you'll get an idea of where we have been and where we are. Let's see if I can. Okay, yeah, that's a good spot to start with. Hang on just a moment. Okay, here we go. I had one picture to start with, and then I pivoted away from it. Now we're good. Okay, so I'll show you this group of pictures. Here's a picture of the main shrine room of Columbus KTC, and you can see here with my little arrow that the hardwood floor has been installed. This was before it was it was polyurethane, and the last coat of polyurethane goes on Monday. Pretty much the entire framing and interior structure of the building is finished, and now they're working on what are called finishes. They're working on the floors, they're working on the walls, they're working on the doors. And they're going to start putting in baseboards next week, which have not been, as you can see, placed yet. This is the eastern wall of our shrine room, and this is where the cabinetry, it'll be floor to ceiling, wall to wall cabinetry that actually goes above the wall here. So that's where these will go in. The pillars symbolizing the Four Noble Truths, and the 8 beams symbolizing the Eightfold Noble Path. Those have been placed. And up here, what you can't see is up into the cupola, where we're going to try to do decorations similar to KTD's, although no one can afford that kind of painting. But we're going to try to do some nuances that remind folks of KTD. So that's what the shrine room. What I told Lama Tashi Dundup, who came to our center last week, what I told him last week was, I said, well, we've given you guys a blank canvas, and now you guys get to help us figure out what to do with it. This is the back of the pictures taken from where the teaching seat will be, looking at the entry to the shrine room. We got really stressed about picking the color. And this was after 8 tries. So we feel pretty happy that it actually worked. And let's see what else I can do here for you. I'm trying to move something here so that, there we go. Let's see what else I can show you. Oh, this is just exteriors of the shrine. There was a circle here because, long story short, we were hiding a piece of automated equipment here. This is the entrance ramp at the front of the building. This is on the north side of the building facing Rich Street. Let's see what else we can tell you. They put up tents last week or a week before. And then last weekend, they were working to put the floor in the entryway. And as soon as they got the floor in the entryway, we delivered 2,500 pounds of manufactured stone that had been imported from Canada. Lama Tashi, at Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche's request, gave us a stupa. He basically did so because Lama Tashi said, Lama Khenpo Rinpoche said, hey, do this, would you? So we put up tents thinking we would have our ceremonies outdoors, but it turned out to be much too cold. So when the lamas came, they made tormas for special ceremonies. And we had to move one of the tents up over the stupa itself so that we could keep it warm and dry. And they started on Friday, actually placing the items. They were doing the Tashi prayer here. We had 7 lamas come from a combination of Lama Tashi Center and KTD. This is Danny Kars, our superintendent, who is a carpenter, and he showed us how to make it straight and level. So that's what we did. We unwrapped all the pieces, we put them together, meaning other people, not me. They did everything they could to take those things out of their boxes. And then they started putting them down. So there's there's Danny helping the folks get it straight and level. He's using his level there to make sure everything is right. And then after that, they, with the help of a lot of our volunteers, they put the pieces together and then they filled them up. There's Lama Adam doing a solo on
It's ukulele.
on the ukulele that I asked him to purchase. I said, here's some money, go buy some stuff. Because the objects of the five senses go in the bottom of the stupa. So we had a central vase and then food and conch shells and things that were beautiful, including this little ukulele. Ukulele was the second instrument I learned how to play. So my dad's World War II harmonica is in there also. It's pretty cool.
That's great.
Then they filled it all up with cedar shavings and sand. And then they put the next level on. And then they filled it up with all kinds of precious items, including this woman gave me her mother's wedding and engagement rings as a blessing for her mom. And they filled them up, covered them up. Then they started dressing up the area. And then we moved all the ceremonies indoors so that we could do the stupa blessing in the vestibule. And that proceeded last Saturday, last Sunday, and then on Monday it completed. So this was the Guru Rinpoche puja that they put together. And they kept going out and making more offerings and going out and making more offerings. Meanwhile, my buddy, one of my buddies was Chuck, was down there keeping 4 song offering fires going at all times. We needed 4 incense offerings. And so we bought little camp stoves so that we wouldn't need a special permit from the fire department. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, the llamas were cold, but they had a good time. And we fed them and gave them a nice place. And when it was all done, oops, wrong picture. When it was all done, we had a stupa. So that's the latest from what's happening with us. We took Lama Tashi upstairs to look at the finished wood floor, and he said he would. He asked Kempo Urgen's permission to advise us on the shrine design. So he's going to give us some advice. So we think the city will give us permission to be in the building somewhere around the first part of December. And then it'll take 2 to 3 weeks to move in because there is 0 furniture in there at the moment. And we think that we're going to have like a 3 or 4 evenings of what they call a soft opening in restaurants. We're not going to have a grand opening because the shrine's not done. Shrine won't be completed till sometime next year. So we'll, Lama Tashi said that it would be best for us to wait and do a grand opening next year, which is great because it gives us time to put everything together and for COVID to calm down a little bit, hopefully. And so we'll be doing a soft opening of 3, 4, or 5 evening sessions of shamatha meditation, a small Dharma talk, and a tour of the building for anybody who wants to come and see it. And that'll be sometime we'll do that soft opening in December, and then we will open for regular Sunday practice, except for chanting, because our medical advisors have told us chant only on Zoom for the time being and don't do any indoor chanting because the cases are so high here. It's one of the 22 really bad states that you could be in. So we have to be really careful. So that's my update. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks.
So that
Asking.
the Buddha that's in the on the top of your the stupa, is that a picture? Is that a rupa? What is
Yeah,
it?
it's a picture. It's a picture. And Lama Tashi said you might want to get a rupa to put in there. So we're going to get advice from a couple of centers that have stupas and to see what would be okay with the elements. We're also going to get advice from monument makers, people who do the cemetery monuments, we're going to have a mason come and look at it to see if there's any specific type of sealant we need to put on the stone to help preserve it. But we've already gotten advice about what to close the joints with, and the person's going to be doing that. If she hasn't already done it this weekend, she'll do it next weekend. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. We have to do some research about, you can't just go to Stupas R Us.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's congratulations. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's coming. Who'd ever thought? It's actually
6
there,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, on January 31st of 2022 will be the 6th anniversary of the fire that destroyed the building. And the arsonist is already, the guy has already been released from prison. So he got 4 years of sentence, but during his time in jail, we raised the money and built a new one. So we're dedicating some of that merit to him so that he has a better life going forward. So
Yeah. He played a role in it.
yep,
All
yep, that is true. So
right. Thank you so much for that.
okay, yeah, that's enough for me for now, but I bet you there might be some other questions out there for you, Lama,
All right. Well,
regarding.
let's check and see if there's anything else that we want to find out about. Don't hesitate to ask. We do have a few minutes left, so don't be afraid to ask. So Lama, I think we are going to have to go to another session, and you'll just let me know what works best in that situation. And
Yes.
we'll finish the metal and water element and the concluding meditations that go with that.
Oh, great. Okay, yes. I think that because December tends to be a busy month for folks, if it'd be all right to start to do it a Saturday in January, would that be all right for
Oh,
everyone?
that'll be fine. Yeah, I think that'll be good for folks. That's good for me anyway.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll give you a call, and then we'll set up a Saturday in January for that.
Okay, any final questions?
I have one, Mama, although I don't know if it's related to what we talked about today. I've been having a really hard time lately with, I think it's menopause related insomnia. And you had mentioned some remedies for insomnia earlier.
Yeah, so yeah, are there hot flashes that go with that too? Night sweats? Uh-oh, lost you.
Usually I wake up around 3 in the morning.
Did you hear
Oh.
my question? Are there night sweats or any other kinds of things that go with that?
No, I haven't had that for a long time. I've just been waking up around 3 and not able to go back to sleep until about 5:30 or 6.
Well, you talked about what you were dealing with, work-wise. It's
Mhm.
stressful for them. It's stressful for you too. And that's liver time, so that liver situation is a little overloaded. So we've got to make sure that you are, what time do you get to bed?
Usually around 10,
Okay. And what time do you have to get up?
about 6:30.
So generally that's enough sleep for you.
Usually about 8 hours is enough for me, yeah.
And what time do you have your last meal?
I've been trying to eat earlier, so usually 4:30, 5.
Good that you're eating earlier, but I think it is stress related. So using an adaptogen, ashwagandha or those kinds of things will also help your sleep, but they are good for stress.
Okay.
So there's a variety of herbs we call adaptogens, so that they help us adapt to stress. And so like we've been talking about with the other foods, be careful of the carbs and sugars, which are inflammatory.
I'll cut down. Yeah, thank you.
You may have a little attraction to that. So it would be good to keep that to a minimum.
Okay, I'll work on that. Thank you very much.
And, the B vitamins also, those are water soluble. And the B vitamins are important for your nervous system. We mentioned B12, and a lot of people cannot make B12. So they need injections or they need some other kind of support for that. So B12 sublingual would be good. or just a general multi-vitamin B, I mean, a B12 multi complex, B complex.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to work on that.
Because that'll also help to build your blood. And so, yeah, there's more to talk about, but I don't know how much you want to be talking about that online at the moment. So
That's okay. Yeah, no, thank you. It's been a big problem lately, so I'm grateful.
yeah. It is treatable, that's for sure. So there is Yvonne Woodson, I think is in, are you in Columbus? No, okay. It wouldn't hurt to say, have you seen an acupuncturist or a functional medicine doctor?
We have one locally. I haven't been to see him since COVID started, but I think it's time to go back.
Yeah, I understand you're having a hard time with COVID, but yes,
Yeah.
if you, and you know, they're doing telemedicine too. So if you
Yeah.
could maybe have a telemedicine instead of having to go out. And I do telemedicine too. So if you don't get what you need, we'll set up a time to talk about it further.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be very interested in making an appointment. Thank you. Okay, I'll reach
Yeah,
out.
if anyone wants to reach me, that brings up the point that, you know, because of the situation, actually our area here is doing pretty good, even because of our strange governor. We are doing pretty good. Gainesville in particular is a little oasis, but I know a lot of places are having a difficult time, so be safe. But if you want to consult me, you can do so. And you can look at my website, davidbull.com, or email me, lamalosang@gmail.com.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can stop here. And next time we'll pick up where we left off. I wish you all the very best. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We have, again, a lot to be thankful for, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you again, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks very much, Lama. And we dedicate the merit. Would you do a dedication of merit for us, please?
Sure, be happy to. Check something here first, if there's anything else I needed to add. No, I don't think so. So at this time, you know, we dedicate the merit for all beings and their ultimate enlightenment, but especially for the peoples of this earth, nations of this earth. May disease and famine and violence and shooting and disease and suffering of all kinds be pacified. And may pure conduct and merit, wealth, peace, and prosperity increase. And may supreme good fortune and well-being, health and vitality arise in the minds of all beings. And may all of our wishes be accomplished in the most auspicious way. We dedicate this merit. Teata pensandria awa bodhanaya soha. Thank you.
Thank you, Lama. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you again in
Until-
January. Thank you to
until
all the
we meet
Dharma
again.
friends.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.